Anyways, so sorry, a little bit about myself. I didn't mean to stop here. I was gonna share a little bit about myself. Okay, so currently I'm the head of product in AngelHack, where I design, research, and even prototype new experiences that help developers learn and enjoy or earn stuff like that. So I'm also a passionate educator. I do a lot of teaching. Do a lot of educating. Like I teach coding and whatnot. My journey with AngelHack finally started many years ago, where when I started my company because of an AngelHack hackathon. So it's kind of nice, right? It's almost like a full circle kind of thing. So from the hackathon, I spun off my first company, and then I started my second company in data science. In between, I was involved in a blockchain startup, right? And for my work in the entrepreneurship space, I'm also Forbes 30 under 30. I've spoken on both local and global events. I've led projects on both machine learning and blockchain, and I'm a passionate hackathon participant, judge, and mentor. So I try to juggle between these three. Sometimes I'm the participant, sometimes I'm the judge, like judging the participants. So it's kind of fun, right? Just to keep things fresh. I'm also a lecturer. I teach entrepreneurship and data science in local universities at various parts of the year. So tonight we are here for a reason. It's kind of like to share with you about how stackies, right? For folks from StackUp, for those of you who are not sure what a stacky is, I mean, you guys should know what a stacky is pretty much, because we kind of marketed the event to folks from StackUp. Hackies is something that we call our AngelHack hackathon participants. I mean, it's something that we came up with so that it will rhyme, right? So from stacky to a hacky, and also because my name is Jackie. Okay, I was waiting for laughter, but I realized I can't see your chat boxes, so I'm just gonna proceed. Um, Now, stackies, Hedera shouldn't be a. You guys should not be a stranger to Hedera, right? Because all of you have done the quests related to Hedera. Okay, I hope that's the hope, right? Because recently we ran a campaign. In fact, earlier this month, we ran a 9 quest campaign, right? And it kind of like took you from the beginning all the way to the end, right? Well, the end was kind of exciting because for reasons left unsaid. But yeah, I hope all of you enjoy yourselves throughout the campaign, and that kind of brought you over here, right? Now, you might be wondering, okay, I've done the StackUp campaign. What's next? Naturally, what comes next is the hackathon, right? So the hackathon runs between 26 May, next month, to the subsequent month on the 25th of June, and it's gonna be quite exciting because this hackathon, yeah, it's gonna be we're gonna be hacking for a more sustainable world, right? So sustainability is one of the three themes, along with DeFi and tokenization. So plenty of exciting things up for grabs. In fact, those of you who, those of you after the hackathon, if you come out with a serious project, there's the incubator that we're running as well. So that's pretty exciting. Now, you might be wondering, oh no, wait a minute, right? Wait a minute. I've just finished the campaign. I struggle, or may not have struggled, right? And then it's time to do hackathons. Now, it may be a bit daunting, right? And I guess the purposes of this AMA is to kind of assure you that as a stacky, you already have everything already have everything you need to succeed in a hackathon. So let me explain to you why is that, right? Now, before I proceed, I need to talk about what a hackathon is, right? So, I spend time talking to folks from different communities, right? And one thing that comes up very often is the fact that people have a very fuzzy idea of what a hackathon is. Meaning, right, uh, they meaning right, they when I say they, it means like just people in general have this impression that hackathons are very scary, right? You need to be a really good hacker, right? Because of the word hackathon, you get the idea that, oh, I gotta be a hacker. And the idea of being a hacker is that you have to be really skilled, you really have to be experienced. That's actually not true, right? Right. Now, honestly, if you ask me, right, what is a hackathon? Hackathon is really an event where people just get around together and they build things together and have fun, right? Not everyone has to be a kind of like amazing developer or like super experienced, right? I remember that when I took part in my first hackathon, I barely started coding, right? And look at me right now. So I mean, not to use myself as an example, I've seen many peers go on and do amazing things, even though they're not like very skilled in their coding, right? So here's a question. So here you have a company, Carousel. This is based in Singapore, right? And they're kind of like a homegrown unicorn, right? Worth $1 billion startup. And here you have Twitter. Now, anyone has an idea of what these two companies have in common, right? One is Carousel, a Singapore homegrown unicorn, and you have Twitter. I don't think Twitter needs any introduction, right? So what do you think the commonality is between these two things that I've just said? Anyone? Try typing into the chat. Hackathon, okay. Jamaki says hackathon question mark. Well, you're absolutely right. Thank you for answering. Fun fact: these two massive companies came from a hackathon idea. If you trace their roots, right? Um, Carousel came spun off a hackathon that was organized locally, and so did Twitter. Right? Twitter came from a design-based hackathon. In fact, it wasn't even like ultra technical, right? Because the hackathon that Twitter came out of was, I believe, a design based hackathon where the focus was more on design. So yeah, if such massive companies came from really humble beginnings, imagine what you guys can do, in the Hedera hackathon. So simply put, right, a hackathon is an event gathering various people, right? So such as programmers, designers, entrepreneurs, domain experts, and really just folks who are passionate about changing the world. And they will work together and collaborate intensely on a particular project over 48 to 72 hours. This is a classic hackathon style. So over on the right, you can see that this is kind of like the usual process. The hackathon sponsor issues a problem, and then over the next 48 to 72 hours, individuals come together, form teams, and then start hacking away, right? They create a prototype, and at the end of that 48 to 72 hours, someone goes on stage, presents for like anywhere between 3 minutes to 15 minutes, and then that's it, right? And oh, of course, not just that's it, right? I'll show you what happens after that. But yeah, so this is kind of like what traditional hackathons were like. Um, Now, why do hackathon sponsors hold hackathons? Again, traditionally, it's for hiring, is to get test users for products. So, for example, if I'm a company, right? For example, Amazon or Microsoft or whatever, they will organize hackathons to get users to use their things. Um, Hackathons are also conducted to encourage innovation. So, what does this mean? Imagine you're a company, right? You're a company that wants to encourage their employees to innovate. So in quite a few tech companies, what happens is that they will hold a internal hackathon, meaning the employees would spend maybe 2 days just trying to come up with solutions to internal processes, right? Of course, externally, when I say externally, means let's say if I'm an organization, let me think. What's a good example? If I'm a charity focusing on people with you know who are physically disabled, maybe come up with a hackathon to encourage members of the public to create an app, for example, right? So these are various reasons why traditionally hackathons are held. In fact, oh, by the way, okay, my name is a bit small down on that article, but actually, um, yours truly here has taken part in many, many, many hackathons and won a few. And I've written a kind of like an article in the past. But basically, long story short, in a hackathon, there are only 5 things you need to do. Very simple thing. Form a good team, understand the goals of the hackathon, get feedback often. Okay, study the judges. This one's a bit controversial. Let me skip that. And practice pitching often means you gotta finish your work quickly so you can prepare it and show it to the judges. Now, of course, AngelHack, we help you do all of the above, except maybe studying the judges, right, through our various activities in the hackathon. So we try our best to put you in a position where you can succeed, right? So that's what we do. Now, these days, right? These days, hackathons have evolved, right? Hackathons have evolved in very interesting ways. Now, question: why do you think so, folks in the audience? Why do you think hackathons have evolved? Anyone? COVID, right? Okay, Brandon says COVID. You're absolutely right. The hackathons used to be intensely in person, right? But because even though COVID is here, innovation never truly stopped. And as a result, the format of hackathons have kind of changed into virtual format, right? Um, COVID happened, hackathons became virtual, so you would have calls, collaboration, and meetings over virtual spaces. Hackathons became longer than 48 hours, in fact. So what was something that used to be 48 to 72 hours, right, became a month long usually. It's anywhere between 2 weeks to 1 month. So I think after studying tons of hackathons around the world, right, the sweet spot seems to be a month long. And there's less focus on what I've mentioned earlier. In fact, right, these days hackathons are great opportunities for you a perhaps a young professional or a professional who wants to know the space, right, on how to network. On helping you network with the rest of the people. So, for example, in a Web3 hackathon, right, we see we have more networking opportunities through events, workshops, or whatever with mentors. Um, we are also using virtual hackathons. We're also using hackathons these days, right, to encourage new companies to start, which is also one of the things that we're looking to do in this hackathon, right? There's also a lot of focus on education, meaning, right, you have workshops, you have community events, so on and so forth, right? And on top of that, hackathons are of course a great way to join the community, right? Simply because of, firstly, the long amount of time we spend, right, for the hackathon, and also the fact that there's a lot more interaction, right? Very close interaction. In the past 48 to 72 hours, right, you wouldn't have a lot of time hanging out with people, but over a month it's a lot easier. Um, Hackathons these days, Web3 companies are incentivized to build strong communities through such events, right? And there's also a lot of resources that's being shared in the space just to create this amazing community, right? And of course, the events are usually education focused. Programs are often integrated into the the event, the hackathon, pretty much, right? And for example, you see things like boot camps going to hackathons or hacker houses and then followed by incubators, which is again what we're doing. So if you're keen on exploring, like, if you really want to build something meaningful and amazing, hackathons are the way to go. I'm just gonna skip this just because I don't have a lot of time. In fact, slideshow. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna like leave a bit of time just so we could do a proper AMA. Now, here's the thing, right? I know for a fact that a lot of people feel not ready for a hackathon. So in fact, this is of course not just the people present, right, in this session, but a lot of stackies out there, they feel like they're not ready, or they don't have the time, or they feel like they're not skilled enough. Actually, my one of the things that I want to kind of like emphasize today is that you are right, and the reason for that is because um, I'm gonna show you a couple of things, and of course, I'm gonna like introduce you tools that allow you to start hacking in a hackathon. So I'm just gonna swap my I'm gonna swap my things around. Okay, so first thing that I want to share with you guys is okay. I hope this is familiar to you all. Yes, yes. Okay, can now, welcome to, of course, back to StackUp, right? And more specifically, the Hedera's session. Now, I guess my main point is that actually when all of you go through this um, the quest, right? Each By the time you reach the end of the quest, you're actually more or less quite equipped to use the things that you learn from each of these quests to build something. So what do I mean by that? Uh, and in fact, right, if you're not familiar, or actually if you feel like you need more help or whatever, right, there's actually a few other tools which I can introduce to you to make sure that you're on the right track. So what do I mean by that? So let me just click on say, okay, let's go with this. Right, writing a smart contract should come relatively straightforward, and reason for that, right, is because you might not realize it, but this actually equips you with the kind of like the basic skills to write a smart contract through the Hedera's smart contract service. Right, these are all concepts. If you pay attention, right, to each of these things, if you slow down, and I know that in a stack up quest you tend to go really fast, right? You try to skim through or whatever, right? And you tend to miss out all the important parts, maybe, right? Some of you might actually read slowly and do it, but I do recommend that you all go back to whatever that you've gone through in your quest, right? And then just read through the steps. And more often than not, you realize that, hey, okay, it's actually not that bad. I can write my smart contract using Remix, for example, right? Of course, this is the online IDE. Once you set up on your own computer, you can then start writing proper smart contracts. There we go, right? First Hedera smart contract. Okay. Now, another thing that would be an immensely useful, hmm? Another thing that would be an immensely useful resource, right, is actually the learn portion, right? So under the learn portion, right, you already have access to all the amazing content that will allow you to build your first dApp or app or web app, right? I just want to say that, right? For example, React.js for front end, right? You click on React.js, you be able to start learning things about how to build a proper front end, for example, right? So as a stacky, right, you'll be surprised by the amount of knowledge you have access to. So you really gotta be excited about the things you have access to on StackUp, really. Um, if you're still not convinced, right, I think one thing that I can also share with you is, okay, who here hasn't used ChatGPT yet? Has anyone not used ChatGPT? Okay, who has used ChatGPT? Of curiosity. Okay, red key. Thank you. Tried it. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you guys something fun, right? So, for example, if your team has already, if your team has an idea that you all want to work with, right? They tend to like, for example, let me think. Maybe you want to do an NFT debt, right? Let's just humor me, all right? Maybe you thought of an idea that you want. So what I encourage you to do, right, is to pick up all the different pieces of knowledge that you've acquired from various places. So first, namely, your the campaigns, right, and also kind of like do explore some of the advanced tools that we have these days. So I'm gonna show you something cool, right? I want to build a Hedera that okay wait Hedera NFT that, for example. Uh, don't use this for your hackathon directly. Okay, you guys should really think of a cool use case or idea. Okay. Okay, using JavaScript SDK. Now, there is four official SDKs. One for JavaScript. If you're used to learning JavaScript, okay, good for you. There's SDK for that. Java, Go, and finally C++. Oh no! All right, I love it when live demos go awry. Oh man. Oh, there we go. I want a Hedera NFT that written in JavaScript. Of course, give me code. Are you guys amazed? Okay, so ChatGPT gets you maybe 80% of the way, and then of course you gotta like figure the rest out by yourself, right? And then of course, let's say a front end code, give me a quick and dirty. Okay, I'm just gonna be like very colloquial about it, right? Quick and dirty front end React JS dashboard that lets me mint an NFT and connects to Hitchpack, the wallet, I believe. Yeah, let's go. Wow, this is actually not the best code I've seen. But it kind of gets the job halfway done, I suppose. I can see some shocked faces. Who's shocked here? So it's pretty cool, right? Yes, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, that kind of shows the power of using tools and knowledge from various places, right? Um, hmm. Yeah, I guess that's kind of like that's it on ChatGPT. But really, the rest depends on you, right? Like all troubleshooting, you can paste the troubleshooting code into it, and it'll help you out. But generally, I think as stackies, right, you have yeah, you just have all these amazing resources at your fingertips, both within the StackUp app and also the community, right? I hope that all of you are like gathering and trying to find friends to join the hackathons because it's gonna be quite exciting. Another thing is on our Discord channel, right? The Discord channel for the Hedera hackathon, which I'm going to show in a bit. Uh, we do we do help you, like for example, form teams, right? And what else? Actually, I'm working on the tool that helps you kind of like create teams based on your expertise, but that's kind of like besides the point. Yeah. So, anyways, the idea is that you guys are totally equipped, and not to mention our community members, right, are well equipped to kind of like help you with any problems that you might have. So just yeah, join the hackathon with an open mind, right? Yeah, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys in the hackathon. Now, of course, I'm now going to open the floor to an AMA, right? And please feel free to type in questions in the chat. And yeah, I'll just spend the next maybe 10 to 15 minutes or so answering any questions you might have. So you don't have to unmute yourself to ask a question. Feel free to just type out in the text box, and I will answer it. Don't be shy, fellas. How will this hackathon be different from the others? Okay, now typically in a hackathon, the at the core of each hackathon, right, is problem solving, right? Problem solving. So it goes that is that the problems that the hackathons are trying to solve, right? It must be something that you care about. So, for example, right, our theme for this is on sustainability, hacking a better world. And if you care about sustainability, if you care about nature, then it's something that you should take part for sure. Like for example, other hackathons may focus on other things like what what might they hope focus on? Uh, it's a very good question. So if you find another hackathon that focuses on the thing that you care about more, right, then that's something that you can look at. Okay. Uh, so we have a stacky asking about quest reruns. Uh, Quest reruns really depends on whoever that we're working with, really. So it really depends on whether they're keen to run another round, pretty much. Okay, so I see Abu Bakar Ismail over here. It's asking for help. How can I help you, my good sir? Cough, cough. Oh, fellas. How can I still catch up since you missed the quest? Okay, that's a very good question. So, Zakaria, thank you for the question. Now, the good thing about StackUp is that even though you might have missed the even though that you might missed even though you might have missed the campaign, right? Um, if Even though you might have missed the campaign, it doesn't mean that you will have missed the opportunity to learn. And the reason for that is because the content over here, right? Even though the quest has ended, you still can learn things, right? You still follow the steps over here to learn about all the cool stuff. Yeah, cool stuff about Hedera. And you can follow it step by step to get acquainted with the technology. So don't worry about not catching up. You just have to set aside some time so that you can, read more about it and learn more. In fact, right, sometimes missing a campaign may not be a bad thing because you're now not in a hurry to complete the quest anymore, right? You can slow down, read about these things, and then learn at your own pace. So don't see it as a bad thing, okay? That's just my advice. Hope that answered your question. Most welcome. Questions? How do we determine what is a good submission in terms of our scope given our beginner level skills? Okay, this is a truly reasonable, yeah, it's a reasonable concern, right? Like, what does it mean is a good submission? Now, when people say good submission, right, you can look at it two ways, correct? It could be a submission that wins a prize, or it could be a submission that comes out of you learning, right? So what do I mean by that? So when people take part in hackathons, right, there are usually two kinds of people. Yeah, of course I'm overgeneralizing, right? So in the first type of group of people, what they do is they take this opportunity of people, right? That is what you would consider a good submission in the first place, correct? The code compiles, it runs, minimal bug, and it kind of does what you hoped it would do. So that would be a good submission. On the other hand, right, say for a team that's very competitive, for example, they want to win and whatnot, then to them a good submission would be a submission that is impressive and it's technically impressive, or like it ticks all the check boxes, it tells exactly what the judges are looking to see, right? So that's how you would see a difference between like two kinds of submissions. But really, like whether it's good or bad, it's really up to the team members to reflect on and think about it. So don't be too hung up over whether a submission is good or bad. Okay, so Red Key asks, oh, Barry has a question. Okay, you can type your question in. I'll answer it after I answer Red Key's question. Okay. So Ricky asks, if I already have an idea, what is the advantage of doing it in a hackathon rather than outside one? Fantastic question. Okay, so you can do it outside of a hackathon for sure, but the advantage of doing it in a hackathon is that firstly, you may potentially win a prize. So sometimes, apart from the main prizes, right, you also have like prizes that's outside of the first, second, and third. That's of course that's one, right? If we talk about monetary incentives, of course there are other things such as networking with the Hedera folks, for example, or the hackathon sponsors. Because if you kind of like network with them, you kind of like figure out their ecosystem better, right? You're in a much but better position to say build a company with their support, for example. Um, in this case, right, the Hedera hackathon, we will follow it up with an incubator, right, in the kind of like the long term, which also means, right, if you come up with a rough prototype during your hackathon, you are in a good position to receive additional support, right, for subsequent stages of your idea. So do consider, if you have an idea that's potentially a viable business, do consider this hackathon, because we will definitely try our best to support you all the way from start to finish. Okay, not a promise, but that's something that we will definitely be able to help. Okay, so Abu Bakari Smile 508 asks, how can we get a rerun of the campaign? How? That's a I I can't tell you how. I mean, that's a kind of a tough question, but basically, it really depends on on Hedera, really. And yep. So Barry, yes, Barry, how may I what question? Let's see. Yeah, yes. So Levine, thank you for answering Sheriff's question. We have a pool of mentors who will be able to help you out during office hours that we'll set up later in the hackathon. So Barry asks, can I apply my StackUp learnings in this hackathon? Absolutely, absolutely. In case you might have missed the earlier part of the session, don't worry, I think we have recorded it. You realize that the stuff that you learn from the different quests, right, actually helps you build up to eventually building a dApp in the end. Uh, yep. So yeah, I mean, short answer, Barry, absolutely yes. Sharif asks, do I need any extra Web3 course after completing the quest, or is it enough? Hmm, that's a very good question. Short answer, short answer. It depends. Okay, of course, it's a quite a non non answer, right? The thing is, it depends on what you're building, right? Because sometimes whatever that you learn from the quest isn't enough. It's always not enough. You always need to supplement whatever that you learn from the quest, right? Because imagine, right? Imagine this. I like to use analogies. I imagine you learn basic English, you learn the letters, you learn the grammar, right? Are you equipped to write an essay after learning the vocab, so what some words and the alphabet? No, right? Because you will need additionally you need to read other works just to get inspired so that you can write yourself an essay after that. Yep. So that's kind of like the mentality that I encourage you to join to go with the hackathon. Yes, but also not so much. Okay. So Barry asks, can you join a hackathon solo? The answer is of course yes, but a hackathon is more fun when you are doing it with your friends or with a team of people, really. Okay, because the more people you have in your team, the more and easier it is you can achieve what your ideas were. Right? Okay. Now, Wumi says, I choose not to join the team because do not want to delay my team due to my tight schedule. Any advice? Okay, I have two thoughts about this. Um, okay, so if you choose not to join the team, right, and you hack alone, right, chances are you might not finish the hackathon simply because, right, because when you are doing it alone, it gets tiring. You get demotivated because you're doing it alone, right? But if you work in a team, you guys can encourage each other, right? Now, of course, this also if you want to hack in a team, that's also okay, even if you have a tight schedule, because it's important to set aside some time. Firstly, of course, set aside maybe if you think about it, right? Let's say if you allocate if you allocate 1 or 2 hours every day, right? 1 hour is what you would spend on, say, an anime episode. 1 hour is what you would spend, say, I don't know, watching TikTok or YouTube or whatever, right? If you save that 1 hour, right, and you try to, like, accumulate even half an hour is more than enough, right? You At the end of 1 month, right, if you do it like maybe half an hour every day, you have many hours actually. You would have built you would have managed to build something cool, right? So time management, and also manage expectations. So don't feel too bad. You can choose to do it solo, but that might lead to you not finishing it, or you can join the team. Then you just have to communicate. Okay. When will more info about the Hedera hackathon go out? So Red Key, sign up, and then we'll put you in a Discord channel, and you can get more information there. Is there any token after the hackathon? Okay, so we have to take part in our events. So every time you take part in a workshop or a session during the hackathon, we'll give you a little something. Okay, we won't tell you what it is yet because it's gonna be a surprise. But yeah, stick around, hang around. You get stuff. Yeah, so Brandon says that most successful projects have two members. That's very true. Two or three, statistically. I mean, that's the nature of things. Yeah, two or three, yeah. Sounds like the hackathon starts next month. Yeah, so right now it's still kind of like the registration period. We're still gathering folks. We're seeing more and more people coming in each day. Come in early so that we can assign you, like, if you want to find a team. So far I've managed to get a team together, so that's been pretty fun. So yeah, what are the current supported payment methods for the hackathon? What do you mean, Anka? Payment methods? Oh, to receive the winning prizes. Uh, so Uncle asked like how are the winners paid, right? Through the like winners of the hackathon paid. I That's a very good question.
Oh, sorry, perhaps I can.
Answer that.
Sorry, this is regarding payment, right?
Yeah, for the prize money.
Oh, yes. So Federal will be undertaking the prize distribution. So after the winners are announced, we'll follow up with the winners. And Federal will be distributing the prizes within like 30 to 60 days.
Yeah, hope that answers your question. Okay. Uh, any other questions before I flash the last slide? Going once, going twice. Okay, so Stackies, those of you who have not signed up for it, please join us. Here are here are two QR codes that you can scan to get more information. So on the left, will bring you to the our Discord server for the hackathon, and then on the right, small details. So please keep your questions coming. So while I'll flash this, just you know keep the questions coming. But yeah, I look forward to seeing. So Sheriff asked, would Hedera be hiring after the program? I don't know, Brendan. What do you think? So tough question. I can't answer on their behalf. But you know what? Actually, if you're acquainted with the ecosystem, right, you may not be hired directly by Adera, but you might, because of your knowledge and skills, right, in building something, you might find yourself, something in the ecosystem, right? So it might not be the protocol directly, but maybe one of the players in the ecosystem. Yeah, never say never. Or sorry, more like it's not never say never, more like you never know where you will be at half a year from now. Oh yeah, there's also the HBAR Foundation. Yeah, no problem, Sheriff. Okay, and on this note, I'm just gonna leave this here. Thank you everyone for your time, and I bid all of you a good day, afternoon, or evening ahead. We're gonna play a game now. Yeah, we're gonna play a game now where yeah, it's pretty fun actually. You have to run around and cover the place with a color. Oh wow. Okay, I see. Yeah, try to gain as much squares as you can, guys. Great teams winning with a lead of 200 squares. Blue team, what are you guys doing? Come on.
You are a blue team.
Oh wow. Cards. $20.
Hakas bardzo devam et.